Well, here we are on a lovely, bright, cold winter Fermanagh day in Aghallochar Church, which is approximately 4 miles southeast of Lisnaskea, which in turn is about 10, 11 miles southeast of Enniskillen. This is one of 35 or even 36 churches and graveyards which are maintained by the local council. And having got so many of these premises and sites and monuments on their hands, it's quite a bit of work. It's quite a responsibility for the council to engage with local communities, to be able to answer the queries of visitors about relatives who may be here, ancestors who may be here, and obviously the history of it and how open and safe these places are for people to get access to. This one's a particularly lovely example of a very early 6th century Christian church set up by St. Ronan. All of the other 35 churches are similar. Not all would be as old, but they range right the whole way through from pre-Norman, early Christian, Norman, medieval, right the whole way up to the Victorian era. And they are places that are currently used as well. So many of them have modern burials in them. Most of them don't, but all of them are in some way open to the public, or they are in private lands, and with the permission of landowners you can get access to them. Local people love to come here as well. They are important focal places, focal points for people who want to come, realise where they themselves come from, but also they're lovely, lovely places in their own right. And they're places of important architectural heritage. They're places of cultural and religious heritage. And they're places also when you're coming away from a busy day's work on a warm evening in June, that you might want to have a 15-minute break to come and reflect and ponder and to sit and to look at the place and wonder how it was made. From a community point of view, they also represent a set of activities that people can do in here to galvanise local people and communities to looking after them and to care for them and to be proud of them. And that can come in lots of different ways. Maintenance of these places is always a real problem, and looking after them can just be coming in, taking away a bit of ivy with a piece of secateurs. You can cut them away. You don't want to do anything around the masonry or the graves because they do belong to people and they are private, but you do want to in some way keep active around these places and to keep them active and to keep them alive and to keep them existing for as long as we can. And there are various techniques for local groups to engage with it. Mostly local history groups love these places. They are full of information. The people who died here, when they were buried, when they were born, the genealogy organisations love them because they can connect people today to people who were here in the past, who they were, how they lived, what they did, and how they contributed to the community when they were here. There's ways you can come in and find things out. You can go to your local libraries, engage with librarians, you can go to the museum, you can contact the genealogist there, but you can also come out yourself and look at graves and find out who was here. And there's ways of doing that because sometimes the weather has worn things away, it's eroded them down. But you can look at them by bringing a bright light with you and shining it sideways onto a grave, and that will illuminate the actual etching of the names on the tombs themselves. And you can draw out information there. Graves are also very interesting because they reflect the views of people at the time who were buried. So in this particular one in Aghallochar, you have tombs here that go back to the 1600s. And they are full of skeletons and coffins, and you can go in and see them, and they're spooky and they're scary, and it's meant to Moray. This is death writ large. And then you go up through the periods of history into Jacobean and into Georgian. Gravestones change, they become more elaborate, they become more fancy, and right up then to the Edwardian and Victorian times when you see huge tombs by people who were wealthy, people who were less so, but none the less you can trace the whole period of history and architectural styles and the values of people as they lived at that time. People very often say, why would you want to go to a graveyard? Graveyards are full of dead people. The place is dead. Everything about it is dead. These places are far from dead. Everything about these places shout out life. They shout out the lives that were lived, the people who are now here. It shouts out the architecture, the style, the content of the graveyards. It shouts out the people who want to come here and find out who are buried here, their relatives, but it also shouts out to the people living in the community, in the area around these places today. And if you come and visit these and you're lucky enough to bump into a local person who's visiting a grave, if there are modern ones here, the conversations that you can have with local people who'll be able to tell you a huge amount of information about who is here, who is buried, their own relatives, the history of the area, what was produced in the area, what the area was famous for. And places like these can add so much to the knowledge of people wanting to come and find out about these places and the places in which they actually are situated currently. Wonderful history, wonderful heritage, but all of those are critically important because the main ingredient in history and heritage and in places like these are people. It's people that are here, it's people who will interpret it, it's people who will look after it, and it is people who will, at the end of the day, derive benefit out of looking after it to ensure that this is maintained for generations and more people to come and look at them in the future.